As we come to the end of 2025, I have been reflecting on the key lesson that I'm taking away, and that is self forgiveness, creating that space and letting go of the heaviness, of the burden, of the struggle within myself of judging, comparing, and criticizing parts of me for not having made the right choice, the right decision, behaved in the manner that I would have liked them to have behaved. And it's about coming and approaching that from a place of kindness, compassion, and appreciating the fact that those parts of me were doing their very best. They didn't have the skills, the coping strategy, or the awareness that they were doing something that was not actually being helpful. At the time, it might have felt that that was the only way that I could react. Instead of slowing down, becoming aware, becoming intentional, and responding rather than reacting. And through doing some work where I have released and let go and forgiven those parts because they did their very best. And now that I have released them and forgiven them, I've created this lightness, this kindness and compassion within myself that when those parts try and surface again, I can lean in and ask them, what are they trying to teach me? What are they trying to protect me from? And why are we going back to old patterns of behavior when we know that that isn't going to help the situation? It's not going to help the interaction in order for us to get a better outcome. And that practice of self forgiveness, even though it is something that really releases and creates that space and freedom within us, it takes away the heaviness and it creates a lightness and ease. It's something that is really, really hard to do. And the reason why we find it so hard is because we are always critical and judgmental towards ourselves. We have been taught to be kind and compassionate to other people, praise them and celebrate them for everything that they have done. And when it comes to ourselves, our bar is so high. We have created unrealistic standards where we expect so much from ourselves. Where if we just stood back a little bit and reflected how much we actually do on a day-to-day basis for everyone around us as well as for ourselves, but we celebrated that rather than judged and criticized, then we show up differently. And throughout 2025, I've experimented and tried a few different things, whether it's been posts on LinkedIn, my clinical hypnotherapy course being completed, and working with a number of clients. I have tweaked and adjusted and I seen how things experimented, seen what's worked, what hasn't worked, and therefore learn a number of lessons as a result. And one of the things that I'm experimenting with is putting some B-roll. So for those of you that are not familiar, that's just video clips that I've captured as part of my walks around my local park, my local prom seafront area. And also I captured a beautiful sunset that we had here on the east coast of Scotland earlier this week. So instead of you just watching me talking in these videos, I'm experimenting with some editing and adding these B-rolls. So if anything resonated and if you like, let me know in the comments below. But the key objective of 2025 for me was turning up in a more authentic, genuine way for myself. And that was aligning my core values with my daily practices, my daily interactions, how I was showing up, creating that self-trust and creating the evidence and proof that I am capable of changing. I am capable of being kind and intentional towards myself, rather than always judging and harsh and always pushing and striving. Because at the end of the day, what we're all seeking is to feel a certain way. And that feeling tends to be joy, contentment, happiness, fulfillment, peace, balance. It isn't usually that we want to be in pain, suffering, blaming, complaining, and caught up in a negative spiral of emotions. So, in order to get that alignment and bring that within my day-to-day practices where it becomes part of my DNA, where I'm not having to think about it, it's just an automatic, then I was able to do that by letting go and releasing of the judgment, of the blame, of the criticism of parts of me, because they were all doing the best that they could. And me acknowledging that, seeing it for what it is, created that sense of awareness and intentionally loving those parts where I know they were trying to protect me. They didn't know any better. They were doing their best. And in so doing, they helped me survive some difficult situations throughout my life. For those of us that are in midlife, we have navigated a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, tough times, whether it is in our personal relationships, in our workplace, careers, family dynamics, intimate relationships, and also our relationship with ourselves. We tend to be kind and compassionate to other people, yet we usually criticize and have a negative view towards ourselves because we expect so much from ourselves. So throughout this year, I have enabled that alignment to take place. And the key way that I achieved that was through that self-forgiveness and releasing and letting go, creating that lightness, that space for me to be joyful and experiment, try things, because we're not going to get it all right first time. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're all evolving. So the first time you try something, it is going to be scary, and you're going to have a lot of kind of uncomfortable emotions that are surfacing. You'll judge yourself and you'll be very kind of harsh and critical towards what you've done. But if you step back and see it from that place of, you are a newbie, you've just done this for the first time, so you're not going to get it right. It's going to be messy. It's going to be uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. But the more you practice, the more you can fine tune, the more you can actually tweak and adjust until you get to that place where you are in alignment. You are navigating life from a place of ease, flow, and inner joy and contentment and peace. So for me, this self-forgiveness has been absolutely transformational. And it doesn't mean that there won't be times where I'm going to be critical and judgmental towards myself, because those parts have been conditioned and they have learned to behave that way. So it's approaching them with kindness and not criticizing them and not blaming them. It's leaning into them and figuring out, what are they trying to teach me? What are they trying to protect me, in order to create that freedom, that space, that intentional kindness and compassion. If this content has resonated, please like and subscribe. And if you want, I'm going to be experimenting over the coming weeks and months with different styles of videos. If you've liked the bureau, let me know. If there is what is your key lesson from 2025? What is the victory that you're celebrating? Because at the end of the day, we are there for ourselves 24/7, and we want to support and encourage and inspire us to take action, to do the uncomfortable things, to push our comfort zone, and for us to show up as our best versions of ourselves. Because when we do that, our energy, our impact ripples in all our interactions, whether that is our intimate relationships, our close family, our friends, our co-workers, our colleagues, our peers, our clients, whatever your life circumstances are. So I want you to go out and seize the day. Forgive yourself if that is something that's weighing you down and not enabling you to truly love yourself and show up as the supportive, encouraging version of you that is going to take the bold, uncomfortable action at times. And remember, there's always choices in life, so choose wisely. Bye until the next one.